Hey everyone, this is Erica with Crafts Direct, and I am bringing you another project that has gnomes in it, and I am so excited. So this is a kit that we sell at the store. It comes with the towels and the fabric to make 2 towels, and they have adorable gnomes on them. So I want to walk you through the steps of how to make these.
As you take everything out of your package, you're going to notice that you have 2 towels and 1 piece of pre-cut material with your cute little gnomes on it. The first thing we're going to do is iron that material just to get rid of any crinkles or anything that may have been created while it was in the packaging. You may have noticed that I did not open up the fabric when I ironed it. That's because we want to now go with our fabric scissors and cut down that crease. So this is going to make the 2 pieces, 1 for each towel. So cut all the way down along that edge. The next thing we're going to do is separate those 2 pieces of fabric. And look at those cute little gnomes. We are going to take our iron and run over them both once again just to make sure everything is nice and smooth. Now we're going to focus on just one of those pieces of fabric. Get your pins out, keep your iron out, and the directions say to fold over 1/4 inch on each side. I decided to fold mine over along the line that is created on the design of the fabric, just so that I knew I was going straight without having to get a ruler out. So go all the way down, folding over on the line and ironing to hold it in place. Now we're going to do the same process with the other side. So our goal here is just to make all of the raw edges fold underneath the fabric. So once we sew it onto our tea towel, we aren't going to see any of those raw edges and we shouldn't have any fraying. What we did to the first one, we have to do to the second one. So we are going to fold over those top and bottom edges. The 2 sides we'll deal with later, so don't worry about those yet. Just get the top and bottom folded over. Now it's time to grab one of your towels, place it down with the right side facing up, and then grab your strip of cute gnomes and place it over the tea towel. We want it about 2 inches up from the bottom, so I got my ruler out or my tape measure, and I just made sure it was 2 inches all the way along, so it was nice and even. Then I went and grabbed my pins, and I started pinning the top and the bottom to the towel. Once you've got that one all finished up, you get to repeat the same process on your second towel. Once everything's all pinned up, you're going to move over to your sewing machine and sew your gnome strip to the towel. When I sewed, I used my presser foot to line up the edges to make sure I'm going straight. I started sewing before I got onto the green material. That is going to make it easier for later when you are dealing with the sides and hemming them over. And then I just kept a nice even pace, took the pins out as I went, and then sewed all the way down each side of the towel. I did backstitch at the beginning and at the end of each side. Now that we've got the gnome strip adhered to the towel, we get to deal with those ends. So it's pretty long for me. We want to fold the fabric over twice. I think the fabric is just too long. So here I am kind of visualizing how long I actually want the fabric to be for folding it over twice. I am going to cut down the fabric so that there's about 1 inch of fabric left, and that seems to be about the right amount to fold it over twice and have it line up with the hem of the green towel. You're going to want to make sure to pin that all in place. I used 3 pins to do this, and then we're going to flip it over and do the same thing to the other side before we start sewing. It's time to bring it over to the sewing machine and sew everything down. So I did use my presser foot to line everything up. I started sewing before the fabric material. I wanted to make sure to catch everything. Since this is a dish towel, I know it's going to get used a lot and washed a lot, so I wanted to make sure everything was held down very securely. When I started, I did put my needle down, then I backstitched, sewed to the other end of the fabric, backstitched again, and made sure I went onto that green fabric. Now you get to trim off those extra little threads, flip it over to the other side, and do the same thing. Got one one more towel to work on, so we are going to do the same process. So we are going to sew down those 2 long ends. Start before you hit that green towel. I did backstitch at that end, and then sew all the way down. Once you're to the other end, you are going to sew past the green fabric a little bit and backstitch. Flip it around to the other side and repeat the same thing. Now we get to finish up the edges, so we're going to cut it so we have about 1 inch of fabric sticking out from the towel. We're going to fold that material over twice so it lines up with the hem of the tea towel. We are going to pin it in place and then do the same thing to the other side. Now we get to finish it all up by sewing it onto the towel. So we are going to line up our presser foot with the side of the towel, start sewing a little bit before the fabric, backstitch at the beginning, sew down to the end, backstitch again, make sure you're going onto the green fabric just a little bit, and then flip it over to the other side and do the same thing. And now you've got 2 super adorable spring gnome towels.
Thanks for joining me as I made this project. You can find all the supplies you need to make this at craftsdirect.com and go to the Projects tab.